thanking? I know what you're saying. I can hear you. I can hear your thoughts right now. Why would you ever thank your ex? What? Thank your ex. Thank your ex. Shank your ex?
Oh dear!
You can thank your ex. You need to thank your ex.
Why?
I know what you're saying.
Why would I ever want to thank my ex? They broke my heart. I'm mad at them. I'm not with them anymore. Why would I thank them? They didn't care when I was with them. Why would I thank them? What would I thank them for? For ruining my life?
No. I know it sounds backwards, right? But let me tell you why it is not so backwards as you probably think. There are a few good reasons you might want to thank your ex. And the main one that we're going to talk about today is the law of attraction.
Hey! Listen!
What do we know about how the universe operates? You and I know that the law of attraction is the secret, and therefore what you are thinking and what you are believing is what will become your reality. It is what you will attract into your reality. It is what will shape your reality, right? This is why if you have a lack mindset or a negative mindset, you're always talking about what you don't have, what you don't like, that's what you're going to continue going on in your life. But if you have an attitude of gratitude around a certain situation, you're going to beat that situation. You're going to bring in the things that you want. Sometimes after our breakups that go particularly bad, we can block out new love for a really long time and continue to keep ourselves in a place where it seems like the world is reflecting to us that we'll never get over that person. We'll never get over that happened. We'll never forgive them. We'll never stop being upset about it, right? Well, if you just keep saying that, voila, puppet master themselves, you and I, we're going to create that in our own realities, of course. And surprisingly, I'm very proud of myself. I was able to come up with 10 things you can genuinely thank your ex for that will help to create a gratitude mindset in your life. When you show gratitude, you're demonstrating for the universe that you know how to be grateful for the things that are given to you. When you're happy about things that are given to you, you're going to be given more. That's going to just momentum going this way just keeps going that way. You know, a body in motion stays in motion. I don't know where I heard that. I don't even know if that's the right saying, but it sounds about right. I think it sounds right. I'm going to go with it. Typically, if you are having a lack mindset, you're going to continue to lack. So I know that I've shared lots of times with you that this particular relationship that I just had in my life, most recently, has been hurtful to me, has really changed my life in big ways that I haven't been able to get back to my typical self. And I have struggled a lot to recover from this one. I think that this is going to be helpful to other people too. If you can take out the negative thought process and the feeling of,
this shouldn't have happened this way. I can't believe this happened to me. I didn't deserve this.
And change it instead. Change the anger you feel towards that person, the hurt and the disparity and the disappointment that you feel over the lack that you have in your life now because of that. Instead, I thought, well, what could I thank them for? If I had to do it, if I had to thank them for something, can I think of anything that I can thank them for? And magically, I came up with 10. I came up with 10 things that I can thank my ex for. And so I'm going to share that with you because you are my friend and I want you to be happy too. Get out your pen and paper. You're going to say these every day and you're going to mean it because they're genuine. You should be thankful for these things. And these aren't going to be things like,
Thankful for them, ruining my life. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
they're not going to be snarky thank yous. Okay, these are genuine thank yous. Let's get started. Number 1, you can thank your ex for uncovering precisely the traits, behaviors, personality pieces of another person that can make you the most happy that you've ever been in your entire life up until now. When you were with them, they had something that you really loved. You fell in love with them. I mean, you wanted to be with them even now to the point that even if you were the one that broke up with them, you're still struggling in the way that you're needing this video, just like me. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're not over your ex, just the situation. Something about them that you really loved. That's something that you don't want to forget. because they're not the only person that's going to have those traits. There's just going to be certain traits that you did like about them and that you would like to see in a person again. So thank them for unveiling those. And sometimes this is called the golden shadow. And sometimes these can be the traits that you need to strengthen within yourself. So you were so drawn to this person and this hurt whenever they were no longer in your life. It felt like you lost something because you didn't feel like you could be that way, whatever that thing is, without them. Let's say you're normally really quiet and reserved and they were just like a ball of energy and fun and laughter and you just had a great time with them. They just gave you such a thrill. And life felt so lackluster after they left or after you left them, because that's not there now and you're just bored and quiet. Well then, thank that person for showing you that you need to tailor that quality within yourself. You need to do some things to help you get a little bit more excitement that you can provide your own life, so that you're not searching for that in other people so strongly that you're willing to overlook some other really big red flags maybe sometimes if they have that trait. So that's really useful. It's one of the greatest things you can get from somebody is to learn exactly what you're looking for and learn, which brings us to number 2. You can thank your ex for showing you the worst parts of yourself so that you can pinpoint those things and improve them. Relationships have a funny way of bringing out the worst of us, okay? Love is a hell of a drug. I know you've probably heard that before. Love is a hell of a drug. It is one of the most powerful drugs, I would say. And it can bring out a side of you that you would have never had any idea was even something that you would ever do or would ever act like. And you don't know that until you get into a relationship. And that's why relationships are a place for such amazing growth to occur. There's growing pains with them. And there's usually a relationship or two in your life, obviously for all of us, that isn't going to be the one that lasts. And it's useful because it teaches you about yourself and it helps you to improve. So if you spend a lot of nights and days dwelling on some of the ways that your ex maybe caused you to feel less than or inadequate, some things, maybe you were with a partner that was too hard on you or said things about you that are not true. You want to really get clear on that. Be honest with yourself. Don't take on somebody else's perceived inadequacies of you if you don't believe that you have that inadequacy. And if you're unsure, ask a trusted friend. Ask a trusted family member. Talk to them about,
do I seem to have this quality? Have you ever seen me have that?
but you'll know in your heart. I hope so. But if you don't, ask somebody else that you know does love you and will tell you the truth. But you got to get really good at knowing in your own knowing. And I understand after a bad breakup, sometimes that's not there. That's depleted. But for number 2, the things that you want to thank your ex for is for showing you the things that were lacking in you. They were right. There was some truth to it. Or you saw it in yourself when you acted a certain way and had certain behaviors come out in different arguments, or the way you reacted to certain situations within the relationship you're not proud of. Maybe you've just seen those, but the relationship and your ex showed you that. So you can thank them for facilitating that, because even if they didn't try, it's like you couldn't have done that without that situation. Probably. Number 3, you can thank your ex for inadvertently causing you to build up your self-reliance. So there was likely a time in your relationship where the once very close bonded attachment started to dwindle. And that probably felt pretty crappy for you. And so in that pain, you didn't have a choice, because if you're now in the breakup, it didn't turn out the way you wanted. And so you likely had to rip that Band-Aid off, rip that attachment apart, and cope with that separation. And all the ways that they used to fulfill some of those voids, they were no longer there to do that. And somehow, some in very traumatizing ways, and others maybe didn't have as much of a struggle, but somehow you had to cross that bridge and you had to get to the other side of that and discover that, oh, I lived. Thank God. I felt like I was going to die. Oh, well. That moment is so profound to me. It's one of the most painful moments that I think people go through in their whole lives, when you are faced with a night or a day that you're feeling like you can't stand to be away from them. You're so used to them. You're so attached. You've been with them for years, and you're facing that night where they're not going to be there. Or you can't call them, or, whichever way it is. You shouldn't be calling them because you're trying to leave them, or they're not answering your calls. Whatever it is, you're faced with the task of having to go through something that you don't believe you can make it through. You're terrified because your heart is breaking at the thought of getting through that. And you surrender. You say,
I can't do it. I need them. I need them.
and for whatever reason, you can't get to them. You're convinced that you're not going to see the light of day. And that morning, after that passes, and you do, in fact, see the light of day, the sun doesn't stop for your broken heart. It doesn't pause for you. The sun rises up at the same time in the morning, and you wake up and you realize that you did make it through it. You are still here. And it's that moment of deep pain and sorrow and survival that you realize that it's going to hurt like hell, so painfully. But you are going to survive it. You clearly are. It forces you. It forces you into self-reliance. It forces you to have faith in yourself. It forces you to count on your ability to survive. Because even when you didn't want to and you didn't think you were going to, you did. You showed yourself otherwise. So, thank you. Thank you, X, for inadvertently influencing me to recognize my own self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and independence, and full capability to survive many things. Thank you. Number 4, you can thank your ex. Thank you for being the bridge that carried the old you over to a better you and to a more dedicated, authentic, and long-lasting love that is coming for you in the future. You can thank them for that. This is probably the one where I want to mention. These are thank yous that you're going to do in your own life and to yourself. You're not going to say these to them. That wouldn't be particularly very nice to say to someone else, even if it's your ex. These aren't thank yous that we're actually going to deliver, okay? I wouldn't advise that. We don't need to tell them about our thank you to them for being a bridge to our better, longer lasting, more authentic, wonderful love, okay? We don't need to say that to them. But we can thank them in our hearts, okay? Because that's what they did. We didn't want that at the time. We wanted them. They were everything to us. That ex, that was my world. I wanted to stay with him forever. So I hated the idea of that. But that is how things turned out, despite how I wanted things to turn out, despite how I fought for them. So I can thank them for that now. Because I deserve that. I deserve that. You deserve that. You fought your hardest for their love, but it wasn't right. It wasn't the love that you were meant to have. So you can thank them for being the bridge over to the one that is really going to be the love of your life. The actual love that you're going to stick it through with and that you're going to make it through with. This used to really upset me, and it is where I got this term, like being a bridge for someone. I got it from my ex. He said this to me when we first started going through our initial problems. Before the year mark, before we moved in together, we hit a particularly rough patch in there somewhere where we were just not getting along ever. We almost broke up. And I remember one night I did say, let's just break up. I guess we're not figuring this out. I don't like how you treat me, and I don't like how you make me feel, and you're not listening, and you're not improving any of it. And I was crying, of course. And during this time, he didn't have a lot to say, but what he did have to say was that he believes he was just meant to be a bridge to help me let go of my past and then facilitate carrying me over to my future. I was pissed.
Why would you say something like that? Why do you want to be a bridge? Why do you want me to be with someone else? I don't want you to be that.
I was so upset about it. I was so insulted. I was like,
You just want to hand me over to someone else? You don't want me?
and so I hated all throughout our relationship. I really hated that he had said that. And he said it other times too. That was a projection from his mind. So that was something that he never let go of. And it wasn't coming from me. It was coming from inside of him because that's not how I felt and that's not what I wanted. So he held on to that, and I resented it so bad. I would have never said this during our relationship. I would have never agreed to this. But now I think that I've gone through what I've gone through with him. I'd prefer to see him as that than anything else. That's keeping it nice. So I like that. And if you have a hard time seeing the good in what your ex may have done for you or done to you, because maybe what they did to you, a lot of it was very unfair, and you still feel very like cheated and like it was unjust, this can help, because at least you can find something to be grateful to them for. Even if you wanted them to be a lot more than a bridge, at least you can thank them for being that. And know that something much stronger and much more real and loving and fulfilling and lasting is coming for you because of them, partially. They were part of that journey. So you can be thankful for that. All right, number 5, you can thank your ex for being the reason that you had to grow stronger and more resilient than ever before. So this relationship, I've never had to bounce back so hard. It's been tough. It's been tough stuff. There's been times where if someone would have came to me, and this did happen sometimes, and said,
You just need to have strength.
I wanted to scream. I wanted to scream in their face and say,
How much more freaking strength do you want me to have? Because I've had enough of it. I've been asked to have strength my whole damn life. Can I be not so strong for a little bit? Can I just like not have to be strong for a while? How about maybe life could hand me something that I don't have to be so damn strong for just a little bit, you know? I can just like chill. Because I don't want to be strong. I've been strong. Let me relax.
I would get so annoyed. So it would really piss me off. But in those moments, I still found strength. I didn't like it, but I found it. This relationship, this breakup did show me just how strong I could be when I had to be. There's never been a more trying time for that. So when this relationship, this breakup, when it brought me to the floor, when it brought me to my lowest low, it did show me that I had a strength in me that I never knew, even when I didn't want to be having to use it. So you can thank your ex for being the reason that you found out how strong you are and how much you can bounce back again, even when you didn't want to. Thanks, buddy. Number 6, you can thank your ex for being the catalyst that drove you to acquire certain skills that you never even knew you were capable of. Oftentimes, bad relationships, if you've been in a bad relationship or a toxic relationship or relationships that didn't work out, oftentimes those relationships can be places where we have to adapt a lot. You don't just leave on day one. You don't just leave the moment that you find out it's not working out so well, or the minute that you're not getting your needs met, or you're not getting the things you want, or you're feeling depleted of something. People don't tend to walk out at that moment. I'll give you a fantastic example of this from my experience. Before I was in this relationship, I had never, ever hung a curtain rod. Ever. I had never installed curtains, ever in my life. I had barely hung pictures on the wall. Kind of. Here and there, I had hung a few. But just with hammer a nail into the wall and put it up there and hope it's straight. I had largely no experience with a toolkit, what tools were for what. I knew how to do basic things with a screwdriver. I knew that there were a few different types of screwdrivers. I had no idea all the ins and outs of it. I certainly did not know how to use a power drill, a sander. I did not know how to use much of anything. To then the end of that relationship, I own my own tool set. I have a drill. I had a power sander. I had a router. I had a mini chainsaw. That thing was freaking amazing. That thing was so boss. I loved that thing. It was so freaking cute. It was like this big. And it was a chainsaw. An actual chainsaw. It was so adorable. That thing. It looked tiny, but it was mighty. It would chop through stuff, okay? Like, it just, don't mess with me. It was really cool. But I didn't know how to use any of those things. I was so intimidated by things like that before. I didn't have stepladder, didn't know how to sand things. I didn't have gloves and goggles, and I didn't know how to do anything like that. I was not handy. And come to find out, the person I was with was not interested in doing things like that most of the time. So they would do the basics after a really long period of time. They would eventually get to it. But anything aesthetic, that was something that I wanted. If I wanted to hang a curtain, if I wanted anything like that, no, that wasn't going to get done. He was not going to do it. And I already had a lot of trouble asking him to help with tiny things. He did not like to be inconvenienced by being asked for anything from me. My need not getting met, on and on and on and on. That need is still there. That fulfillment is not there. And what did I do to fill in the gap? I acquired those skills. I learned how to use every tool. I learned to be so handy, I can do nearly anything at this point. And then that led me to realize that I love remodeling things around the home. I love making things. I love creating. I learned how to do so many things with tools that I then incorporated into an art business. And that massively changed my life. I decorated my entire home, very customized and very, very unique in my own way because I knew how to do all of it. I taught myself because I had to adapt. So you can thank your ex and for the skills that you acquired that you had to acquire in that relationship to fill those types of gaps where they weren't being filled. And now you know that you can do those types of things. Number 7 thing that you can thank your ex for: inadvertently pushing you to discover your greatest passions. So sometimes, again, when you're in a toxic relationship or you're in a relationship that's failing, you spend a lot of time lonely. You spend a lot of time separated from your partner. You guys aren't usually seeing eye to eye at times. And you do a lot of moping around. You do a lot of sadness. And after a long time of that, again, you just have to adapt. You don't want to feel that way anymore. You feel so sad and lonely. And naturally, you will seek out things to comfort you when your partner is not capable of doing so. They just won't do it. They aren't being there for you. You will seek out other things that bring you joy and comfort in that situation. As long as you don't seek out things that are harmful, or just sometimes people seek out another person, and that's not good, and cheating's never okay. But other people that don't cross those lines, they'll seek out something that brings them joy and brings them comfort and keeps their mind occupied as a close second place to having a partner in their life. And so what mine was my passion for art. I learned that I had a passion for creating, a passion for making something out of scraps of nothing and making something gorgeous. I learned that I had a passion for making something so detailed and so customized and so aesthetically pleasing, tailoring it to the person that's going to be receiving it. And I could do anything. I was just so passionate about it. I would make it meticulously detailed to the way someone else, if I was making it for someone else, or the way I wanted it. I did my entire house that way. And then I turned it into a business. And I still have that business today where I make home decor and personalized art pieces for myself and others. And the business has come pretty far. We're in 3 stores now, and we sell online as well and at different art shows around our local area. So from just needing some comfort and needing something to pass the time when in my relationship I wasn't being paid attention to, I was pushed into discovering this amazing passion that's become my livelihood partially at this time in life. And it's so great. It's amazing. I love doing it. I would do it for free. I would do it if no one bought it. I would. I love it so much. It's so fun. So you can thank your ex for causing you to discover passions like that. Number 8, you can thank your ex. Listen up for this one, okay? It's interesting, but hear me out. You can thank your ex for increasing the depth of your sadness index. This is what I'm doing. Sorry, you can't see. Which subsequently is the only way to increase the height of your happiness index. Or you can call it like pain, love. There is a certain paradox of pain. Whereas you would think that if you felt more intense pain and your pain were to get deeper and deeper and deeper, that you would hate it. You would feel like, I don't want to go through this pain. I wish there was no pain in the world. Why can't there be no pain in the world and we could all just be happy all the time? That would not be possible, because the level of happiness that you are able to experience and be grateful for and acknowledge is so special, is relative to the depth of pain that you've ever experienced. So if you've experienced this depth of pain, the middle's here, right about here is your happiness ceiling. And even if you experience things that maybe to other people will be so profound and so worth it and just so cherished, you might overlook those things a little bit and maybe take them a little bit for granted, because your pain depth only goes down to here. You only know it can get this bad. So you're not quite as grateful yet for these things when they're happening. But when your pain gets even worse, this also on the other side rises. And it's not necessarily that actually like bigger, happier things can happen to you. It's about the feeling. It's about the appreciation for happy moments and the way that you will perceive them in your world, the way that you will feel such a gratitude for those things when they happen, for the little things even, and the big things. But those things are meaningless if you've never experienced the pain. If no one in the world experienced pain and everyone was happy all the time, it wouldn't be special. It would just be the way we are, and we wouldn't appreciate it at all. It would just be the way we are. It wouldn't feel like happiness. It wouldn't feel exceptional. It wouldn't be something to be cherished at all. It would just be expected and the norm. Therefore, happiness and elation can only be experienced at the level of pain that you have experienced to appreciate it. Therefore, this is where I'm going with this. You can thank your ex for increasing your depth of pain index. Therefore, subsequently, raising your ability to appreciate more happiness in a more profound way. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate ya. Number 9, you can thank your ex, even if it was the worst of relationships, even if it was terrible at the end. There was some reason that you were with this person, and there had to be at least some very positive times, even if they were short-lived, that happened with this person. And so, obviously, this one's very obvious and straightforward. You can thank your ex for the positive memories that you shared that you may have never gotten to experience if you had never been with this person, and maybe some of the happiest times of your life up to this point. I know for me, that is true. Some of my most on top of the world moments that I've ever been through in my life up to this point, the highest amount of happiness that I've ever felt, and contentment and just peace and everything good, the best I've ever felt in my life, occurred with this person. My most painful moments of my life that ever happened occurred in connection with this person as well. So it's hard. But just because one happened doesn't mean the other one didn't happen anymore. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't cancel each other out. That person still was someone who I experienced my most happy days with in my life so far up to this point. I thank them for that. Thank you. Thank you for bringing me those days, because they were beautiful. And maybe you can think of some days that you had like that with your ex and feel gratitude for that. And number 10. The 10th thing that you can thank your ex for to create a gratitude mindset and help attract great things into your life by having gratitude for what you've already received is you can thank them for being in your life for the season they were meant to serve in it, and that they served all of their intended purposes while they were there. So this one's very straightforward. Thank you for being in my life for the period of time that you were meant to be. Even though I wanted you there for longer, that's not what was in the cards. For precisely the purpose you were supposed to be serving in my life. Thank you for being here for that time period to do that. And thank you for serving that purpose. Even if you don't quite understand the purpose that your ex served in your life yet, even if you just don't quite understand why things happen this way, you don't understand what happened between the two of you, you don't understand why you even met this person, maybe you're angry about that. Have faith. Faith is an important thing. It's so important. Have faith that they did serve their purpose. And maybe they're still serving their purpose. And maybe you haven't discovered what it was yet. Maybe not all the puzzle pieces have fallen into place yet, but I can tell you that that person was in your life for the amount of time that they were meant to be, or they will be. You know, we don't know what the future holds. Don't hold on to that, but like, what's going to need to happen is going to happen. And so you can thank them for being in your life for that period of time, the period of time that was right for you, from them, and for them serving the purpose that they were meant to serve, because they did, or they will. Even if you're angry at your ex, even if it still hurts, something that can create some movement, some momentum for you, moving in a more positive direction is, even if you have to fake it right now, thanking them for things that you can find a way to be grateful for. Have a gratitude mindset, speak gratitude out into the universe, and the law of attraction will operate the way it has always operated forever and ever in your life. And you will attract in things that are good and that you can be very, very grateful for coming up soon for you. That is all for today, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful friend. Okay? Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I love you. I love you. You're gonna get everything you want. I'll see you later. Bye.